You're probably thinking that the deep web is some mysterious, secret world that only exists in movies and thrillers. But the truth is, it's not as exotic as you might imagine. In fact, it's just a part of the internet that's not indexed by search engines like Google. That's right, billions of websites exist without any links to them, hidden from the surface web that we all know and use. Imagine you're walking along a beach, and you see a small part of the shore above the waterline. That's kind of like the surface web. It's the part of the internet that's easily accessible, with websites like Google, Facebook, and YouTube. But what lies beneath the surface? That's the deep web. And trust me, it's a lot bigger than you think. The surface web is like a small island, with a limited number of websites that are easily discoverable. But the deep web is like a vast, uncharted ocean. It's estimated that over 90% of the internet remains hidden beneath the surface, with new websites emerging every day. This means that there are potentially billions of websites that we've never even heard of, each with their own unique content and communities. But why is the deep web so big? The answer lies in the way that websites are created and hosted. When you create a website, you need to host it on a server. And there are thousands of servers around the world, each with its own unique IP address. But not all of these servers are connected to the surface web. Some of them are hidden behind firewalls or proxy servers, making it difficult for search engines to index their content. This is why the deep web exists. It's a way for websites to exist without being part of the surface web. Now, you might be thinking that the deep web is just a bunch of secret societies and hidden corners of the internet. But the truth is, it's a lot more complex than that. The deep web is home to all sorts of communities, from online marketplaces to social networks and forums. It's a place where people can connect with each other, share ideas, and access information that's not available on the surface web. But what's the benefit of the deep web? Well, for one thing, it allows people to access information that's not censored by governments or corporations. It's a way for whistleblowers to share sensitive information, for activists to organize, and for people to access knowledge that's not available elsewhere. And it's also a place where businesses can operate without the overhead costs of being on the surface web. Of course, the deep web also has its dark side. It's a place where cybercrime and hacking thrive, and where malicious websites can spread malware and viruses. But it's also a place where law enforcement agencies can track down and prosecute cybercriminals, and where researchers can study the behavior of these individuals. So, what does the deep web look like? Imagine a vast, labyrinthine city, with narrow alleys and hidden courtyards. Each website is like a small shop, with its own unique products and services. And just like in a real city, there are people who live and work in these websites, creating content, sharing information, and interacting with each other. But how do you get to the deep web? Well, it's not as easy as just typing a URL into your browser. You need to use special software or browser plugins to access the deep web, as many of these websites are not compatible with standard browsers. And even then, you need to be careful. Some of these websites can be malicious, and some of them require special permission to access. As we delve deeper into the world of the deep web, you'll see that it's a place of wonder and discovery. It's a place where people can explore new ideas, access new information, and connect with others in ways that aren't possible on the surface web. And it's also a place of danger and uncertainty, where cybercrime and hacking thrive, and where malicious websites can spread malware and viruses. So, what's the next step? Well, we're going to explore some of the most disturbing true deep web horror stories that have made headlines in recent years. From the story of a woman who was kidnapped and held for ransom on a deep web forum, to the tale of a group of hackers who used the deep web to spread malware and steal sensitive information, we'll examine the darker side of the deep web and what it reveals about our online world. But before we dive into those stories, let's take a step back and consider the bigger picture. What does the deep web tell us about our online world? And what does it reveal about the dangers and opportunities that lie beneath the surface of the internet? As we explore the deep web, you'll see that it's a place of contradictions, a place where people can access information and connect with others, but also a place where cybercrime and hacking thrive. It's a place where the boundaries between the physical and digital world are blurred, and where the concept of reality is challenged. So, let's take a deep breath and dive into the world of the deep web. It's a journey that will take us to the darkest corners of the internet, and reveal the hidden truths about our online world. Are you ready to explore the unknown? You've probably heard whispers about the deep web, but what lies beyond the surface? Let's dive deeper into the hidden world of the dark web. Imagine a part of the internet where you can remain completely anonymous, where your online activities leave no digital footprints. Sounds like a utopia for some, but for others, it's a playground for illicit activities. Welcome to the dark web, a subset of the deep web where the rules are different, and the stakes are higher. Think of the dark web as a black market, where people trade in goods and services that are highly sought after, but heavily regulated. It's a place where you can buy and sell stolen credit card numbers, counterfeit merchandise, and even illicit substances. But the dark web isn't just about the shady stuff, it's also a hub for those who want to expose the truth. For instance, the dark web has been used by whistleblower organizations like WikiLeaks to publish sensitive information that governments and corporations would rather keep under wraps. These groups use the dark web to remain anonymous, protecting their identities and preventing retaliation. Imagine if a government official, tired of corruption and abuse of power, wanted to expose the truth without risking their life or reputation. The dark web provides a safe haven for such individuals to share their findings with the world. However, the dark web is also a playground for hacktivists, individuals who use their hacking skills to expose corporate malfeasance and government corruption. These groups often use the dark web to coordinate their efforts, sharing information and resources to bring about change. Take the example of Anonymous, a loose collective of hacktivists who have been involved in various high-profile operations, from exposing corporate espionage to protesting government surveillance. But what about the more sinister aspects of the dark web? The part where people can buy and sell human lives, where the vulnerable are exploited, and where the rule of law is mere suggestion. This is a topic we'll explore further, but for now, let's acknowledge that the dark web is a complex, multifaceted entity that defies easy categorization. Imagine if you could access a part of the internet where your online activities were completely untraceable. Where you could purchase goods and services without leaving a digital footprint. Sounds appealing, but for many, it's a recipe for disaster. The dark web is a place where the line between right and wrong is blurred, where the law is a distant memory, and where the consequences of your actions are uncertain. As we delve deeper into the world of the dark web, it's essential to remember that this is a part of the internet that's not for the faint of heart. It's a world where the strong prey on the weak, where the anonymity of the internet is used to hide in plain sight. But it's also a world where those who dare to challenge the status quo can find a safe haven, a place to share their findings and bring about change. So, what lies ahead on our journey into the heart of the dark web? We'll explore the more disturbing aspects of this hidden world, where human lives are bought and sold, and where the rule of law is a distant memory. But for now, let's take a step back and acknowledge the complexity of the dark web. It's a place where the lines between right and wrong are blurred, where the law is a suggestion, and where the consequences of your actions are uncertain. The dark web is a world that's both fascinating and terrifying, a place where the anonymity of the internet is used to hide in plain sight. As we continue our journey into the heart of this hidden world, remember that the stakes are high, and the consequences of your actions are uncertain. But for those who dare to challenge the status quo, the dark web provides a safe haven, a place to share their findings and bring about change. So, let's take a closer look at the 5 most disturbing true deep web horror stories, where the anonymity of the internet is used to hide in plain sight, and where the consequences of your actions are uncertain. But before we dive into the first story, let's take a moment to acknowledge the complexity of the dark web. It's a world that's both fascinating and terrifying, a place where the law is a distant memory, and where the stakes are high. In the next section, we'll explore the first story, one that will leave you questioning the very fabric of the internet. A story about a man who used the dark web to buy and sell human lives, and the consequences that followed. But for now, let's take a deep breath and acknowledge the complexity of the dark web. It's a place where the anonymity of the internet is used to hide in plain sight, and where the stakes are high. You've probably heard whispers about the deep web, but what lies beyond the surface? Let's dive deeper into the darker side of the internet, where the lines between reality and horror blur. In this section, we're going to explore 5 true stories that will make your skin crawl. From murder and torture to child exploitation and cyberbullying, these stories will show you the true horrors that lurk in the depths of the deep web. Imagine a world where you can remain completely anonymous, where your online activities leave no digital footprints. Sounds like a utopia for the free-spirited, but in reality, this world is a breeding ground for the darkest aspects of human nature. Now, let's dive into our first story, a case that will leave you wondering about the true extent of human depravity. The Cleveland torso murderer was a serial killer who terrorized the city of Cleveland in the 1930s. What's even more chilling is that this killer was able to use the deep web to evade capture for years, posting cryptic messages on underground forums that hinted at his next victim. The killer's true identity remained a mystery for decades, and it wasn't until the 2000s that investigators were able to crack the case using advanced DNA analysis. The case was like a puzzle, with each new piece revealing a shocking twist. It's a reminder that even in the darkest corners of the internet, there are still ways to track down those who would do us harm. But what about cases where the perpetrator is still at large, using the deep web to hide in plain sight? Take, for example, the case of the Gamergate scandal. In 2014, an online community of gamers became embroiled in a heated debate about feminism and sexism in the gaming world. What started as a legitimate discussion quickly turned ugly, with gamers using the deep web to coordinate harassment campaigns against feminist activists. The victims reported receiving threatening messages, rape threats, and even explicit photos. The Gamergate scandal highlighted the darker side of online communities, where anonymity can create a sense of impunity. It's a reminder that the deep web can be a double-edged sword, allowing us to maintain our anonymity while also allowing us to hide our true intentions. Now, let's move on to our next story, one that will make you question the very fabric of our society. Child exploitation is a heinous crime that affects children across the globe. What's even more disturbing is that the deep web provides a platform for predators to traffic and exploit children. The case of the Backpage website is a prime example. This online platform claimed to be a legitimate classified site, but in reality, it was a hub for child exploitation. Backpage was founded in the early 2000s by a group of entrepreneurs who claimed to be fighting against human trafficking. But what they didn't reveal was that their platform was being used by sex traffickers to sell children. The site's owners were eventually prosecuted and shut down, but not before thousands of children were exploited. As we delve deeper into the world of the deep web, we begin to realize that the lines between reality and horror are becoming increasingly blurred. The next story we're about to share is a chilling reminder that even in the darkest corners of the internet, there are still those who would seek to harm others. Cyberbullying is a serious issue that affects millions of people worldwide. What's even more disturbing is that the deep web provides a platform for bullies to hide their true identities and wreak havoc on their victims. The case of the Reddit troll is a prime example. This user, who went by the pseudonym Han Solo, used the deep web to harass and intimidate other users on the platform. Han Solo's antics were so severe that they eventually led to a high-profile lawsuit against Reddit. The case highlighted the need for greater accountability online, and the importance of protecting users from harassment and bullying. But what about cases where the perpetrator is not just a troll, but a cold-blooded killer? Our final story is one that will leave you speechless. In 2013, a young woman named Amy Bradley went missing while on a cruise with her family. What's even more disturbing is that her disappearance was linked to a series of child exploitation cases on the deep web. The case is still shrouded in mystery, but investigators believe that Amy's disappearance was orchestrated by a group of individuals who used the deep web to traffic and exploit children. The case highlights the darker side of human nature, where people are willing to go to extreme lengths to achieve their twisted desires. As we conclude this section, it's clear that the deep web is a complex and multifaceted entity that poses a significant threat to our safety and well-being. From murder and torture to child exploitation and cyberbullying, these stories show us the true horrors that lurk in the depths of the internet. But what can we do to protect ourselves and others from these threats? The answer lies in education and awareness. By understanding the true nature of the deep web and its dangers, we can take steps to protect ourselves and others from its dark influences. It's a reminder that in the digital age, our online activities have real-world consequences, and it's up to us to use our powers responsibly. You're about to enter a world where the lines between reality and horror blur, a place where the internet's darkest corners hide unspeakable terrors. We've explored the hidden world of the deep web, but now it's time to delve into the 5 most disturbing true deep web horror stories. Today, we're going to examine one of the most chilling cases in American history, the Cleveland torso murderer. Imagine walking through the streets of Cleveland in the 1930s, a city plagued by a serial killer who seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. This monster, known only as the Cleveland torso murderer, would strike without warning, leaving behind a trail of dismembered bodies and cryptic messages. The police were baffled, and the public was terrified. The killer, who was never caught or identified, was a master of the dark web, using its anonymity to communicate with his victims and taunt the authorities. He would send messages, often in the form of gruesome photographs, to the police, daring them to catch him. The messages were always signed with a simple, chilling phrase, the torso murderer. As the body count rose, so did the public's fear. People began to whisper about the killer's ability to evade detection, and the police were under pressure to solve the case. But the more they dug, the more they realized that the killer was always one step ahead, using the deep web to cover his tracks. The Cleveland torso murderer's methods were as disturbing as they were clever. He would lure his victims into a trap, often using the promise of a romantic encounter or a lucrative business deal. Once they were in his control, he would dismember their bodies, often leaving behind a single limb or a piece of clothing as a twisted trophy. The police were stumped, and the public was horrified. How could one person commit such atrocities and remain so elusive? The answer, of course, lay in the dark web, a place where the killer could hide in plain sight, using the internet's anonymity to shield himself from detection. As we explore this case, you may wonder how such a heinous crime could go unpunished for so long. The truth is that the killer's use of the deep web made him a ghost, a shadowy figure who seemed to exist outside the bounds of reality. He was a product of the internet's darkest corners, a monster born from the very fabric of the web. The Cleveland torso murderer's case is a chilling reminder of the dangers of the dark web, a place where the line between reality and horror blurs. It's a reminder that, no matter how advanced our technology becomes, there are still things that are beyond our comprehension, things that can make even the bravest among us tremble with fear. As we continue our journey into the heart of the deep web, we'll encounter more stories like this one, stories that will make your skin crawl and leave you wondering about the true nature of the internet. But for now, let's take a step back and try to understand the Cleveland torso murderer's motivations. What drove this monster to commit such atrocities, and what can we learn from his crimes? These are questions that will haunt us throughout our exploration of the deep web's darkest corners. But for now, let's focus on the facts, and try to piece together the puzzle of the Cleveland torso murderer's twisted mind. The case may be cold, but the memories of the victims and their families will never fade. As we move forward, we'll encounter more stories of horror and despair, but we'll also discover the resilience of the human spirit, a spirit that refuses to be broken, even in the face of unimaginable terror. So, let's take a deep breath and continue our journey into the heart of the deep web. We'll explore more true stories of horror, and we'll examine the darker corners of the internet. But for now, let's remember the Cleveland torso murderer, a monster who taught us that, no matter how advanced our technology becomes, there will always be things that are beyond our comprehension. And as we move forward, we'll ask ourselves a question: what other secrets lies hidden in the dark web, waiting to be uncovered? You've probably heard whispers about the deep web, a place where the internet's darkest corners hide unspeakable terrors. But what lies beyond the surface? In our previous sections, we've explored some of the most disturbing true deep web horror stories. Today, we're going to take a closer look at the darker side of the online gaming community. Imagine you're a woman game developer, working hard to create engaging and immersive gaming experiences. You're proud of what you've accomplished, and you're excited to share your passion with the world. But when you step online, you're met with a barrage of hate, intimidation, and harassment. This is the reality faced by many women in the gaming community, thanks to a scandal known as Gamergate. In 2014, the gaming community was rocked by a scandal that would go down in history as one of the darkest chapters in online gaming. It started with a simple controversy over the game, Dragon Age Inquisition, but quickly escalated into a full-blown witch hunt against women game developers and journalists. The trolls and hackers, fueled by the anonymity of the deep web, used social media to spread hate and intimidation. Imagine being bombarded with messages like, "Kill yourself," and, "You're a disgusting human being." Imagine having your personal data hacked and leaked online, exposing your private life to the world. This is the kind of cyberbullying that many women in the gaming community faced during Gamergate. The scandal was fueled by the deep web, where anonymous trolls and hackers used social media to spread hate and intimidation. But what's shocking about Gamergate is how it highlighted the darker side of online gaming. The anonymity of the deep web allowed trolls and hackers to hide behind masks of pseudonymity, making it impossible to track them down. This created a culture of impunity, where online harassment and cyberbullying became normalized. The gaming community was left reeling, unsure of how to respond to the sheer scale of the problem. So, what can we learn from Gamergate? One thing is clear: the anonymity of the deep web can be a double-edged sword. While it allows for freedom of expression and creativity, it also enables hate and intimidation to spread unchecked. As we continue to explore the darker side of the internet, it's essential to remember that the deep web is not just a place of horror, but also a place of opportunity. Imagine if we could create a safer, more inclusive online community, where women and marginalized groups feel welcome and supported. Imagine if we could harness the power of the deep web to create positive change, rather than perpetuating hate and intimidation. It's a tall order, but one that's worth striving for. As we move forward, we'll continue to explore the most disturbing true deep web horror stories. But we'll also look at the ways in which we can use the internet to create positive change. Join us next time as we delve deeper into the hidden world of the deep web, and explore the darker side of online gaming. Here's the script content for the specified section. Imagine if you stumbled upon a place where some of the darkest secrets of the internet are hidden, a place where predators roam free and the most vulnerable members of our society are preyed upon. This is the world of the deep web, a realm that's shrouded in mystery and terror. As we delve deeper into this dark corner, you're about to discover some of the most disturbing true deep web horror stories, and today, we're going to expose one of the most heinous crimes that takes place on the internet. The deep web is a breeding ground for child exploitation and trafficking, with thousands of victims being exploited every year. It's a cat-and-mouse game between law enforcement agencies and the predators who hide in the shadows, preying on unsuspecting children. From child pornography to online grooming, the deep web provides a platform for predators to target vulnerable children, often using social media, gaming platforms, or online forums to lure them into their trap. The statistics are staggering, and the consequences are devastating. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, there are over 20,000 reported cases of child exploitation on the internet every year. The victims are often children who are struggling with mental health issues, who have been bullied, or who are simply naive about the dangers of the internet. Once they're caught in the snare of these predators, it's often too late. Law enforcement agencies are working tirelessly to combat this issue, but it's a daunting task. They're like detectives trying to solve a puzzle, piecing together clues and following leads to track down the perpetrators. But the deep web is a constantly evolving beast, with new platforms and channels emerging every day, making it a challenge for law enforcement to keep up. As we navigate this dark world, it's essential to remember that the victims are not just statistics or headlines, they're real children who are being torn apart by predators who hide behind screens. It's a nightmare that we all hope never comes true, but the reality is that it's happening, and it's happening now. The question is, how can we protect our children from this evil? How can we ensure that they're safe online? The answer lies in education and awareness. We need to teach our children about the dangers of the internet, about online etiquette, and about how to identify potential predators. We also need to work together as a community to create a safer online environment, one where predators are held accountable and victims receive the help they need. As we continue to explore the darkest secrets of the deep web, remember that you're not just watching a video, you're part of a larger conversation about the future of the internet and the safety of our children. Join the discussion, share your thoughts, and let's work together to create a safer online world. You're probably wondering what lies beyond the surface of the deep web's darker secrets. What about the heroes who dare to challenge the status quo, who use the deep web to expose government corruption and corporate malfeasance? Today, we're going to explore the hidden heroes of the deep web, whistleblowers and hacktivists who risk everything to bring the truth to light. Imagine if you stumbled upon a cache of classified documents revealing a massive cover-up by a government agency. Or, picture a group of hackers exposing a multinational corporation's shady dealings with a corrupt politician. This is the world of the deep web's hidden heroes, individuals who use the internet's darkest corners to challenge the system and hold those in power accountable. From WikiLeaks to Anonymous, these individuals have used the deep web to share sensitive information and spark meaningful conversations. But their work is far from easy. They face intense scrutiny, harassment, and even physical danger. Just think about it, if you were a whistleblower or hacktivist, would you be willing to risk your freedom and your life to expose the truth? Take, for example, the story of Chelsea Manning, a former U.S. Army intelligence analyst who leaked hundreds of thousands of classified documents to WikiLeaks. Her action sparked a global conversation about government secrecy and transparency, but she paid a heavy price for her bravery. She spent 7 years in prison for sharing the truth with the world. Or consider the case of Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, who has been fighting against extradition to the United States for over a decade. His work has exposed some of the darkest secrets of the global elite, from corporate espionage to government corruption. But his own freedom hangs in the balance, a testament to the risks faced by those who dare to challenge the system. The deep web is a complex and multifaceted topic, full of contradictions and paradoxes. On one hand, it's a hub for predators and pedophiles, a place where the most vulnerable members of our society are preyed upon. On the other hand, it's a tool for whistleblowers and hacktivists, a means to an end that can be used for good or evil. As we navigate the darker corners of the internet, let's remember that the deep web is a reflection of our society's darker impulses, and that it's up to us to decide how we use it. The work of whistleblowers and hacktivists is crucial to holding those in power accountable, but it's also fraught with danger. They risk losing their freedom, their livelihoods, and even their lives to bring the truth to light. But their bravery inspires us, reminds us that there are still people who care about justice and transparency in our world. As we continue to explore the deep web's darkest secrets, let's not forget the heroes who dare to challenge the system. They are the true face of the deep web, the ones who use the internet's darkest corners to bring about positive change. And who knows, maybe one day, we'll see a world where the deep web is used for good, where whistleblowers end.